What up, everybody? The biggest cliffhanger at the conclusion of Power Book 2 Ghost was the whereabouts of Kane Tejada. No longer in New York after killing Noma to avenge Monet's death, but this made Kane a wanted fugitive whose face was all over the news after killing Noma in front of the police and shooting out with the police before getting away. Kane was last seen in a hotel room after the shootout with a couple bandages on where he got shot during the shootout and was patched up by a doctor. Dr. Lee, who Effie said patched Kane up, was the same doctor who treated Kane's bullet wounds in Season 4, Episode 1 after Kane got shot in Noma's warehouse. At this point, Effie gave Kane a bag full of money, around $250,000 to $500,000, that she was supposed to use to pay for her schooling at Stanford. And once Kane left town, he later communicated back to Diana in New York that he made it out of town safe. So that lets us know that Kane is still in contact while he's on the run with Diana, and most likely Effie also. And it also lets us know that Kane is now set up somewhere in a new city, but it never actually said where he was at. Kane going on the run has a lot of similarities to Tommy going on the run. They both left all by themselves and left everything they knew behind in New York. And this will be Kane's first time really ever being on his own without Monet around, and also Drew and Diana, just like it was Tommy's first time not being around Ghost and Kate. Even though there was ups and downs with Kane's relationship with all his family, like Tommy had ups and downs with both Ghost and Kate. And in Season 1, when Monet put Kane out the family, he got desperate and had a survive by any means necessary mentality, robbing a church with GTG. But even at that point, Kane still had his connections to the GTG, his shorty whose crib he was staying at, and he was still in his city where he was well known and had a lot of connections. But one difference between Kane and Tommy going on the run is wherever Tommy went when he originally left New York, he wasn't on the run from the police. And once he became a fugitive and wanted for Ghost's murder, Tommy faked his death soon after that. But as for Kane, it's a lot more hot in the streets for him because he didn't fake his death and unlikely has a clean identity and tags like Tommy has in Chicago. So because of that, any local cop could arrest Kane simply on the warrant he has back in New York and have him expedited back there. As for Tommy, because he faked his death, I don't think he has any warrants like that anymore back in New York. Stacy Marks had even tried to communicate with the Eastern District in New York, and they insisted that Tommy was dead. So because of that, Stacy didn't push it with them, trying to prove that he was alive, but instead, she set her sights on taking down Tommy Egan so she could accomplish what Eastern District never could. So this gets me to the question, is another similarity between Kane and Tommy leaving New York that Kane also ended up in Chicago? Because when we're talking about Kane going somewhere where he can just blend in, I think Chicago would be the perfect place for Kane to go to, because there's already so much crime there, nobody's going to be thinking about him. There's been a lot of speculation that Kane might be in Atlanta because he has family there. But because he has family there and is a wanted fugitive, I don't know if he'd want to go to Atlanta. I've brought up before how on The Wire, when Weebay became a fugitive, Stringer Bell asked him where he had family at and told him to go to a city where he didn't have any family. Not to mention, I definitely think we're going to see a few surprises in the final season of Force. Tariq will most likely be one, and I think Kane showing up in Chicago will be another. Because it's almost like the ending of Ghost was written with the perfect scenario to have an excuse for Kane Tejada to be in Chicago for Force Season 3. Not to mention that Joseph Sikora just made a real bold claim that Season 3 of Force would be the best season out of any of the Power spin-offs, and to be better than Ghost Seasons 1 and 3, where Tommy crossed over onto Book 2, or Raising Kane in Season 2, which I feel was the best season of that series, is saying a lot. Then there's also the fact that Woody McClain, who plays Kane, has been seen in multiple pictures with actors from the Force cast, including Isaac Keys, who plays Diamond, Joseph Sikora, who plays Tommy, and Chris Lofton, who plays Gennard. And there's also the fact that we now have confirmation that Power Legacy is in the writer's room for the next phase of the Power universe on the current timeline. So because of that, the two worlds of Ghost and Force will eventually have to come together. And I think this will take place in the last 3 episodes of Force. Unless there's a time jump in Force Season 3, I don't see it happening before that, because the Force timeline still has to get caught up with the Book 2 timeline. And with Power Legacy, something to keep in mind about that show is that Origins, the next phase of the Power universe on the past timeline, is set to have 18 episodes in Season 1. So because of that, I think there's a good chance that Legacy will also have 18 episodes per season. Because even if they go from 3 Power spin-offs, Ghost, Force, and Raising Kanan, to just 2, Legacy and Origins, if they both have 18 episodes per season, we would still get 36 episodes of Power per year compared to just 30 with the 10 episode format and 3 spin-offs. So as Kane arrives in Chicago, he has the money that he got from Effie so he can start over. So technically, he could get back into the drug game. But at the same time, he has no connections, no crew, or clientele. So it'll be difficult for Kane to try to get his foot in the door in the drug game, at least right away, until he gets some connections and learns the lay of the land. Because even though Tommy walked right into opportunity when he got to Chicago, he still spent a lot of time studying the map of Chicago in the first 2 seasons of Force, learning the lay of the land. But Kane already being a shooter, I think he'll begin to make a name for himself in Chicago by being a hired gun, a hitman type. This way he begins to get in with the local crews, making connections, while also making his name feared in the streets, which is something that's important to Kane. Going back to Ghost Season 1, when Lorenzo told Monet Kane will be happy as long as he's feared in the streets. So with that said, Kane could meet somebody from one of the crews in the Coalition to hook him up with CBI to become their shooter. And it could potentially be Kane, who was on the motorcycle in the trailer shooting a bunch of people with Diamond behind him. Because now that we know Tommy will split with CBI, and it most likely has happened by the time this scene takes place. Because another clip from the scene shows Diamond, Jannard, Marshall, Smurf, Bones, and a new female character with a bunch of dead bodies behind them, and Jannard having a surprised look on his face. Because of that, we know that almost guaranteed isn't Tariq on the bike, because he'll be on Tommy's side. So this might actually be Kane's first job for CBI, and that's why Jannard has that look on his face, because he's surprised how Kane showed up and laid those guys out. And Kane's likely not going to be driving his Range Rover when he goes on the run, so I can see Kane getting a bike so he could get around faster and be able to evade law enforcement easier if it came down to it. Not to mention he doesn't have to worry about anybody seeing his face when he's riding around with a helmet on. And that's a major clue for Kane, because Effie told Kane that he could never show his face around New York again. And also the motorcycle is the ideal vehicle for Kane if he does become a hitter. And there you have it, Kane in Chicago for Season 3 of Force. Let me know in the comments what other Power characters you want to see cross over, as well as your thoughts, theories, and predictions.